Straight from the chest, buddy. Thank you guys for tuning in. My name is Justin Groth. This is Wednesday Wrath. Man, I love that word. I think that's the reason why I put it in my Wednesday podcast, because I just needed an excuse to use that word. And it kind of rhymes. Well, it doesn't rhyme, but it goes together, right? W. Anyway, guys, tonight I'm super excited about tonight because it's a high carb day. So that means I get to but eat a ton of oatmeal and rice, and that's the carb of my choosing. And I sneak in some fig bars because I love fig bars. Get them at Costco. They're the best, man. And I'm doing all of this as I watch the new Bill Burr comedy special. I love that guy. I think he's one of my favorite comedians because he tells it like it is. And he's not afraid. He has no fear. He doesn't have immunity either, but he's got no fear. And he says what he feels. And that could be on any topic. And clearly, when you go out there on the limb and say and express how you feel, you're not going to get the crowds to like you. But he doesn't care. He only does what he feels authentic about. He says what he feels authentic about, and you got to respect that. You may not like it, you may not agree with it, but you got to respect it, because in this day and age, so many people hide behind rocks. They hide behind other people that have a voice. They may not have a voice though. And if they do have a voice, they're too fearful of expressing it because of fear of others, what they might say about them or think about them or whatever. And you know who you are. I don't have to be the one to tell you. You know who you are. You know if you're that person that doesn't care, or even if you do care, you still say what's on your mind, or you still say and do the things that you feel for, regardless of how people are going to view you, or you hide and you close your mouth and you don't speak up, even when you know things should be spoken up for. And so I just respect the heck out of that guy for that. And I just love watching him because he's a nutcase sometimes too. I mean, I know it's all part of the bit, but I can't get enough of him. And so I'm excited to watch that tonight while I pig out on carbs. Love it. Because keto is life, right? Carbs are life. But anyways, that's what I'm doing tonight. I'm looking forward to it, man. And on another topic, I kind of wanted to talk to you guys today about something that I feel is very abundant I think in everybody's life to some degree, and especially mine. I have a tendency to, I don't know how to put this, but I have a tendency to not ask for help. And I have a tendency to try to do things on my own because I'm kind of a control freak to some degree. So I want to control things to the best of my ability, and I want to try my damnedest to be the best that I can be on my own, even though there's external sources of help that are around me, right? But I may not call on somebody exactly for help. I've never been the type of person to have somebody come over so I can talk to them, or go to somebody so I can talk to them, vent to somebody. Because like I've told you on previous podcasts, I'll talk to myself and I'll air things out on my own to myself. And I'm not saying that I'm the best therapist, because I'm not, right? But the more I talk about it, it's my own way of inducing some therapy, right? And that's therapeutic for me. And I've never been one to go to somebody to vent and talk and et cetera, et cetera. So I, as a byproduct, also don't ask people for help. I mean, there are people in my life that help me, like my parents. And I guess I have no pride when it comes to my parents. I ask my parents to help me with something that I need help with, but I won't allow them to help me with everything either. There are things that I'm just too prideful about, and I have too much of a conceit or an arrogance to think that I can do this on my own. The enemy loves keeping you in a dysfunction. He loves keeping you in your dysfunction. And clearly, the negatives, people can identify with those as being dysfunctions. But a lot of times, the comfort and the complacency can become your dysfunction just as much. And we don't like to think of those as dysfunctions or discomforts or keeping us from our best because they're keeping us comfortable. But guys, those are the things, those are the predecessors far before the things that are acutely negative. In fact, the negatives oftentimes lead us to see actually how resilient and strong we actually are. And we mask it with thinking that this is just something happening to us when really it's happening for us. And if we don't allow ourselves to see it for everything that it is, even though in the time it's horrific and in the time it's challenging and it's prying at us, and really it's causing us to wanna flight, right? We're not wanting to fight, we're wanting to flight. We're wanting to flee away from it because we just can't bear it, and we don't want it to be on our plate any longer. Sometimes we have to just kind of revel in that fire, in that challenge, and be stoic with it because we understand that this is something that's not going to last, A, and B, it's going to gather us the ammunition to fight for the actual thing that we need in the future. It's going to prepare us, and it's going to give us the ammunition we need to fight against the bigger enemy in the future. And so I don't think you guys don't understand that. And I think somewhere in a meme or in your life and you're listening to a motivational speaker, I'm sure that they've said that to you or expressed that to you. But we often forget it and we don't apply it. So there could be a situation right now happening in your life you're trying to just repel against. When really, if you sat in the actual fire and try to develop some type of calamity, you would understand this is where I'm supposed to be right now. And this is making me stronger and actually more fire retardant for the future. Because I know that if I flee, I go back to comfort. And the comfort, although it feels great, and it feels like this is the way life should be, it's not for what God wants to do in your future. But you've got to get through these fires and these battles and jump these hurdles and climb this mountain and get dinged and battered and bruised along the way, because in order for you to be thriving and to be in the position, in the posture of authority and specialization, and to be able to impact and affect people in the lives that God wants you to, you have to go through the beatings. We all do. None of us are immune to that. And so the reason why I bring this up is because I know there's some things that I'm going through. And I know if I'm going through things, you're going through things. You may not see it in my eyes when you come in contact with me. You may not hear it in my voice, but they're happening. I just internalize things far better than maybe you do. Or I mask things far better than you do. But it doesn't mean that they're not happening. I just maybe can compartmentalize them better than you. But that's not a talent. It's not a talent to be able to internalize something or materialize it into something that it's not. That's not a talent. I'm not boasting in that. That's actually a fault of mine, which is part of the reason why centering myself in this podcast to be of a humility standpoint, or from a humility standpoint. I want you to know about this. I want to be vulnerable, and I want you to know that these are some of the things that I'm going through too, right along with you. But the way that I counter these disagreements in my life or these dysfunctions is to try to sit and revel in the fire, knowing that A, this is not my destiny. B, I know it's not going to last a long time. And C, it's here for me to make me better, to help me to become the champion that I know I'm called to be. This is something that's manifesting in your life, in my life, and if you haven't gone through it, you're going to go through it soon. It's just a matter of when. But the biggest dysfunction in our life comes not from being challenged, but comes from being comfortable and from being complacent. You know, that thing you do every single day, your 9 to 5 that you just hold on to because it's producing, but it's not igniting you at the same time. See, that's the enemy keeping you in your comfort, because he knows the talents that are in you. You don't even know those talents, but he does. He knows those talents. He's seen them in you from an early age, since before you can even understand what your name was in real life. That early, like before you can even spell out your name, he knew the talents that God gave you. And he's scared because he knows that if you cultivate on those talents, you're going to bring so many people to God. And in the process of bringing so many people to God, you're going to be a light on this planet. And when you're a light, he hates that because he's dark. And so when you bring light to darkness, the enemy won't have that. So what he'll do is he'll mask your comfort and your complacency with growth, with you thinking that that's prosperous because you're comfortable, when in all actuality, that's dysfunction. That can show up as dysfunction in your life if you allow it to take residence for longer than the season it was expected to be in. Does that make sense? I'm not discounting seasons. We all go through seasons of complacency. Don't get my message confused with the seasons of complacency and comfort that we all go through at some point in time in our life, if not multiple times in our life. But you know when those seasons are done. And you know when you're called to be challenged and level up. You know when you're called to be elevated. And you also know when you don't answer that call. And you may be right now not answering that call to challenge because it's going to cause a little bit of discomfort. But I'm telling you, that's the kind of discomfort that is needed for you to elevate into a new season, for you to come into your purpose. That is needed. That challenge, that trial that sits on the other end of the spectrum, that is where you need to be, not right here in your comfort zone. And we all can discern whether or not that's a season that we're in. Because if there's one thing that I believe that happens internally in how God speaks to us, is through our gut. That's what I believe. I believe God gives us those feelings in our gut viscerally. And we can choose to answer, or we can choose to push decline on that call. It's your choice. But at the end of the day, these challenges, they're made for you. They're not made to come against you. And they're needed if you want to be thriving in your ultimate potential.